starting at the top with the host team, the Montreal Canadiens. How perfect is this? Kent Hughes and company have the number one pick where the draft is held in Montreal, and I've got them taking Shane Wright of the Kingston Frontenacs. He's been the projected number one pick all year long. He goes to the host to set up a bright future down the middle with Wright and Suzuki in Montreal. So, guys, I've got Shane Wright going to the Montreal Canadiens. I think it's a great fit.
Yeah, that's who I have going there, too. He's kind of the consensus one overall pick in this draft. There's always rumbles that someone else should go, like whether it be Logan Cooley or Slafkovsky. Both those guys think they should be the first overall pick, and a lot of people are, mentioning that. Like even Laine was mentioning that he was going to go over Matthews at one point. It happens every single year, but I'm pretty sure we're all certain that Shane Wright will go to Montreal. And if he doesn't, I think there's going to be a lot of puzzled faces in the Bell Center, just like when they picked Kotkaniemi a few years ago. But exceptional status, CHL Rookie of the Year when he did come in, and he was the assistant captain right away and for the Frontenacs. I remember when I was working in Kingston for the radio, I was talking to a few guys with the Frontenacs, and they said it's unbelievable how much of a professional this guy is at 15 years old, 16 years old, 17 years old. He's just all pro already, and it's going to be a great pickup for Montreal. A little more size than what they're used to, thank goodness for them. So I think it's going to be a good pick for them.
Yeah. So Case, you said we're all in agreement here that Shane Wright is going to go to Montreal. You don't think they're going to take Jack Hughes number one overall?
It's the wrong Jack Hughes.
Yeah, it's the wrong Jack Hughes to go number one. But yeah, so you're right. We're in agreement here. Shane Wright is the no-brainer number one pick. But I mean, if you look at past number one overall picks, like, you're not extremely excited to get Shane Wright. I mean, he's going to be a phenomenal player, but since his exceptional status year and his 16 year in the OHL, his numbers have kind of dipped a bit, and there's been a lack of that extremely high-end scoring in the OHL that you expect to see from a number one overall pick. But the player has extremely good hockey IQ. His shot is pretty good. He competes really hard. And like you said, Case, he's a professional. So in terms of the guy that you're getting, you couldn't ask for a better player, at number one overall.
I think it's a little unfair to talk about his production compared to other one overalls, considering not all of those guys had to miss a full year of hockey. And I'm sure that had a major impact on Shane Wright, as well as, the whole of the OHL. Like, all of those players took a beating from that. Like, that's just Rust City. So
totally. And at the same time, too, I don't think you can say the same about many first overall players, that they play a 200-foot game quite the way that Shane Wright does. So that's another thing he has going for him. He's an extremely talented player. But there was a survey in The Athletic, I forget who did it or who wrote about it, from anonymous NHL executives. And that's what one of the execs said. He said, Shane Wright's the consensus number one, but you're not particularly excited to get him, especially when you look back at some previous first overall picks. But nonetheless, he's going to be an exceptional player, and Montreal is going to get a hell of a guy too.
Before we move on from him, I just want to do a little test here. I want to see what you guys think, because I was trying to do this. Who in the last, say, 15 years, 20 years, who would you compare him to with other one overalls?
In terms of his play style or his ceiling, like potential?
Play style.
I'm not thinking of a number one overall pick, but I think Patrice Bergeron is a close comparison. A guy like that who plays both ends of the ice, Canadian guy, responsible in his own end, can score. Mm-hmm. That's who I think of when I think of Shane Wright.
Hart?
I'll go with a more recent one, and I've heard comparisons of the 2017 draft to this draft, and I'll say Nico Hischier.
Okay. For some reason, my brain goes instantly to John Tavares. I mean, Montreal can only hope that he's John Tavares, but I don't know, maybe it's because of the exceptional status or what it is, but he just that similar build and similar makeup, and I don't know. That's where my mind goes.
Instantly. The leadership, the two-way play. I get that. That makes sense.